Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast, where we focus on internal transformation to experience external results. I'm your host and coach, Doreen Rainey. Join me each week for insightful messages and powerful interviews to equip you to take bold, courageous, and radical action to live the life you want and deserve. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to this latest episode. I am your host, Doreen, and I am super thrilled to come to you today with this incredible conversation with this incredible woman. Now, before I jump into today's episode, today's interview, I just want to take a few moments and get you up to speed with what's happening at the Radical Success Institute. And so many of you know, if you've been listening to this podcast, if you follow me on social media, that I love the work that I do as a life coach. There is no greater joy I have than working with my clients to help them define success for themselves and get the guts to go after it. And I am passionate about helping other coaches do the exact same thing. And so we are hosting our very first Radical Life Coach Intensive, which is a 3-day virtual experience where we work with coaches to help them build their skills, transform more lives, and build a profitable business. And so if you are a coach, and you work with people around achieving their goals, creating success, moving to the next level, if you work with people around their health and wellness, or managing their finances, or building better relationships, and you want to know how can you be better at what you do, get greater results for your clients, and make more money doing it, then this is the event for you. And so you can get all of the details at our website, radicalcoachlive.com, and it will share with you the details of what we'll be covering over those 3 days. And so now I have the pleasure of introducing this amazing woman whose path I crossed probably about 7 years ago. And I was so impressed and so touched and so inspired by the work that she was doing and the work that she continues to do. And so let me share a little bit about Angelia White. She is the founder and CEO of Hope for Woman magazine. She had a dream to build a publication that would be filled with inspiring stories of women and what their path to success has been. She's a Ball State University alumni, and she has reached over 100,000 subscribers inside of her digital magazine. And in addition to that, she is now an author as well, publishing the book, Yes, Sisters. And this book is so pivotal, especially now, as many of us look to shift or pivot or adjust to all of the disruption and the distractions and the challenges that we are all dealing with. Being able to find your group of yes sisters is everything. And so she's going to talk to us today about her own journey in starting and growing her magazine and what it really means to be and have some yes sisters. So please give a radical welcome to this amazing woman that I am so excited to have this conversation with. Please welcome to our podcast, Angie White Stone. Hello, Angie.
Hello, Doreen. Hello.
I tell you, I have been looking forward to this conversation for a while. I've known you in the days of your magazine that you still have, and then also through the book that you just released. And we're going to be talking about all of that. But I just want the audience, our listeners, to know just how incredibly excited I am about being able to talk with you today because I know you have so much to share, so much wisdom and so much insight. And I know who Angie is. I know what Angie does and the impact she has in the world. But for all of our listeners that are meeting you for the very first time, tell us a little bit about you, the work that you do, and why you do it.
Okay, that's a lot, but I'll keep it to a minimum. I am a mother. First, I'm a mother to three amazing children. Well, they like grown people now, I guess. I still have my baby here, and well, the older kid said he's not the baby because he's 16, and but he's still my baby. I am in attending school at the moment. I'll be finished. I finished this Saturday with the first portion of my degree, and then I'll move over into another semester into the university, Ball State University, to finish. So after 30 years, I was part of on my bucket list is to complete school. So I was able to accomplish that.
Hold on, let me not just jump over that because I want people to grab a hold of what you just said, that it was on your bucket list. You've had this desire, this goal for 30 years, and your commitment to finishing this goal. How long since you started is it taking you to actually get your degree?
When I left college 30 years ago to get married, I was a senior in college, and so I only had like a couple semesters to go. Mm-hmm. So last year I had talked to a good friend of mine, and it was right before the summer, probably April, May sometime. And she went in there and checked out my DAPR and all the report and everything. She's like, girl, you only have 2 semesters, a year to finish this degree. So just from last summer into this summer, I was able to accomplish that.
Yes, that is so awesome. That is, and I love that you said that you knew when you left that you were a senior, but you still weren't quite sure if you still only needed that.
Right. So that can change, things change.
And so that's just an encouragement for all of you who think you know, but you don't really know until you actually check. Okay, I just had to highlight that. So yes, you are finishing school. Keep going. So
I'm finishing school. I'm in the process of rebranding the magazine that I have published. This is the 15th year, and we were going to do all the fun celebration and all that, but then we had all this that happened this year, but that's on the list this next year, the year after, whenever we're still going to celebrate. We don't really know what that holds. So yeah, I'm doing the magazine. I like you said, I wrote a book talking about book number 2, and I'm just keeping busy on this.
Yes.
Just busy with some good stuff.
Well, first of all, I want to talk about, and I wonder if all of our listeners caught it. It's not just that you publish a magazine. You said you are in your 15th year of publishing a magazine. I mean, that in and of itself deserves a big round of applause. Kudos to you. And I wanted to talk about that for a moment. So your magazine is Hope for Women magazine. So talk to me about 15 years ago. Where were you in life? What was happening? And what was it that sparked this venture for you to put out a publication that by its very name speaks to what women have on the inside of them that sometimes they have a challenge meeting or experiencing?
Mm-hmm. I was in I often talk about, I was in a bad spot. I was in a dark space. I thought I had, sometimes I settled. I had felt like I was just, going through the motions in life. I was still here in my hometown. I had the university job, working as, a receptionist or a secretary, but I always knew that remember I decided not to finish my degree. So I just got in this state of mind that was just like, okay. And then I was in a bad marriage. I was just going through these various phases of abuse. It was just showing up into different forms: emotional, spiritual, financial. So I wanted to figure out, how do I get out this box? And that was during the time when Rick Warren came out with the Purpose Driven Life. Everyone was talking about purpose and, dreams. And, that was something that I had never been exposed to. And so I read the book and read the Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkins. And that's what started my journey to say, hey, well, eventually, it originally started that it was going to be a newsletter, but I have to figure out, okay, I want to be able to connect other women, because even when I was stuck, I figured, well, it's got to be some other women that are stuck too, that maybe along this journey, I can help them and they can help me move forward. So that was in 2005, and that's how the thought of Hope for Women was birthed, because um, just as I needed hope, I wanted to inspire other women to hope as well.
What I find so fascinating about that is when we find ourselves in a place where we're not in joy, we're not fulfilled, we feel like we're living below our potential. We may have other people in our lives that don't give support, that don't see the best in us. And what you did was you said, if it's me going through this, I cannot be the only one. And the way that I am going to come out of it for myself is to also share the journey with other women in the form of Hope for Women magazine. And why the name Hope?
It's because I felt hopeless at that point. And when I begin to think about where I was in my journey, and the things that I had encountered, I wanted to give other women hope, because so many women just felt hopeless, and I just wanted them to know that there was hope.
Yeah. And so in that journey of 15 years, I'm sure that you have learned lots of lessons, both on the business side, both on the personal side. So can you share with us two of the biggest challenges you've had in this publishing journey, in your own journey around the magazine, and then two of your biggest highlights that you've had in this journey?
Oh, one of the biggest things the biggest challenge was, there again, it's going back to where I started, and I had a certain mindset. So a lot of times when you think about mindset, it's just like, when I look back, I'm like, whew, it's a lot of work reshaping your thought process, and just accepting that you are incredible and amazing, and trying to figure out, am I, and to be able to start surrounding yourself around people that can empower you. And so that was probably one of the biggest challenges. It was identifying that I did have a particular mindset, and then finding true people that can help you, that you could become vulnerable, and that you don't have to be shamed to share, okay, this is where I'm at. Can you help me? Or what can you do to pour into me, so that I can basically level up from this state of being.
Right. I love the description of mindset, and it's a lot of work, right? I think so many times people will read a book, or they'll go to the workshop, or they'll listen to the podcast, and it's like, yes, my mindset, I'm amazing, I'm great, I can do this. But that's really surface. The real work is deep work, and it takes time. And you talked about reaching out to others, reaching out and saying, can you help me? Can you pour into me? How was that for you in terms of being willing to ask for help? And then for those listening, if they're like, I need that kind of support too, where do they go to even find that kind of help?
Right. The good thing is there were individuals such as yourself and other amazing ladies out there that, you know, that you were accessible. And those are what I consider, and I know we'll talk about that later, but those are what I consider yes sisters. Those are the women that, um, I'm sure that everyone has their own journey, but I believe that you remember your start, where you began. And so that you were able to pour into me, even if it was just you saying, I think it was just, yes, I'll attend your conference. And then me watching, you have these amazing conferences a year, and this in the different programs that you had. That was empowering because it let me see that, there's other women that are where I'm trying to go. And they were willing to say, yes, what is it how can I support you? How can I help you? And that's one of the things, like yourself and a few other women have always been very empowering and inspiring to say that. So.
Yes, yes. Being willing to seek out those women and being willing to not just ask for the help, but be open to receive. Because, like you said, the mindset shifts, the inner work, it takes a lot. And being able to be open is part of that process, for sure. Yeah. So tell us, in terms of your magazine journey, what has been your highlight? What has just been like one or two amazing experiences you've had because of this magazine journey?
Wow. And I think it's still every time I put a magazine out, because it's just like, boy, this is because the magazine is really like a grassroots thing. And, and I often would hear, oh, well, you're not this and you're not that, but I'm like, I'm something because I'm still here.
Hold up. Now, see,
You know what I'm saying?
that's a speech on its own. When someone tries to tell you, well, you're not this, or you don't have this, or you don't have that, and it's like, hold up.
Yes.
I'm still here. I'm still publishing. I'm still changing lives. I'm still giving hope.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. I think one of the biggest highlights is when I get a chance to meet, you interview, we interviewed Octavia Spencer and some of the people that I was able to connect with. And still to this day, one of the most incredible interview I had was with Angela Bassett. And it's just like, she was like your real girlfriend. She was just like we see her on 911 and whatever, Stella and all that. I mean, she was just, it was just really it was an awe moment because, you think, okay, well, maybe she would be one way, but she was just like your girlfriend.
Yes, yes. And then all of the people that you interviewed, celebrities and non-celebrities, and all the people that you featured, if you could, I know this will probably be hard, but if you could think back to that one piece of advice or that one story or that one statement that just resonated with you and has stuck with you just all the time, what would you say that was?
I think it definitely has to be the story in my interview with Cindy Monroe, the founder and president of 31 Gifts. And she talked about her humble beginnings and where she started in the basement. And what she basically encouraged me and in the readers or at that time is don't be ashamed of your small beginnings, and because they lead to great things. And I think that was really that was just inspiring because she talked about how she worked, the church ladies would come and they was in the basement and sewing stuff and,
Right.
and you walk in her corporation and everything, now you're looking like, whoa, okay. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And in this world of social media that we live in, it's hard to remember that everybody starts small.
Right.
We see so many highlights of people's lives. We see so many of businesses online who are only highlighting like where they are or where they're headed. And we forget that it starts with the first sale. It starts with the first email. It starts with the first publication. And there is no shame in small beginnings. There is
Yeah.
no, I mean, how else are you going to start?
Right, right, right. And you have to be okay with, even in those small beginnings and the starts, is that I think, in, kind of going along what you said about social media, we see all the glitter and the sparkles and everything, but I think it's good to be able to share those moments. I think about moments when I'm really working to get sales, and I'm doing everything. Like I always say, I was a postmaster, I was a sales director. You just do everything. I'm the
The editor, the janitor,
everybody, customer service. And I remember having two issues, and I was like so excited. I think I printed like maybe 15,000 magazines each that time. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna give a good push to the newsstands, and I was all excited. And it was heartbreaking because the newsstand distributors fell bankruptcy. So everything that I put out there, I didn't get a return on it.
Mm.
That was heartbreaking. Of course, I laid in the bed and cried, and
Yeah.
and then I gave myself 48 hours. I'm doing a lot better now to get it together. And then I was just like, and I remember telling my mom, I'm like, I don't know what to do. How do I rebuild, and how do I repair from this? And she said, you may not have the finances, she said, but you figure out a way to dig deep into your soul, and that's where your dream is, and you reinvent it. And that was, my mom gave some of them, that was just so powerful, is because I figured out a way to win. And that's what we do. You just keep figuring out a way to make it work.
Yes. And for people who think that every person that you see that has achieved success has had this straight line, has had this thing work out, and then that deal came along, and then that partnership happened. Nobody has that story.
No.
Nobody has that story. And you're right. I love this meme that goes around that says, are you going to cry about it, or are you going to boss up?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, first of all, I'm going to do both.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. You gave yourself 48 hours. Some people may need 72, but
that's okay.
That's about as long as you want to stretch it out, because then you have to dig deep.
Right.
I love that. You got to dig deep, and you got to figure it out. You got to figure out a way, because what is the alternative?
Right.
The alternative is that it's over. And that's not an option.
No,
you're
never.
in purpose. It's not an option when you're given hope. It's not an option when you're showing up big to serve the world.
Exactly.
It's just not an option. And so that magazine laid such groundwork for you, because then you decided to write a book.
Yes.
Yes. Tell me, how did this come about?
Well, I actually was about to interview one of the ladies in the magazine, and she was telling me how she had already published 80 books. I was like, 80 books? I was like, girl, I can just barely get this one that I think I have published. And she said, well, tell me a little bit about it. And so I began to share with her, my vision for the book. And she connected me with her agent and her literary agency group. And then I talked to the CEO, and this happened within a 2-week period. And then we talked and said, well, let's pray about it, come together in about 2 weeks. And they wanted to take me on for my book. And I was just like, wow, there again was one of those moments that's like your aha, or just a surprising moment. It's like, what? Right. And so we worked together on the title with the Yes Sisters title. And, one of the things, it kind of went along with what I've already done with Hope. And as we've already shared, you and I've talked about, is my journey. And I felt what was important is to be able to show the how powerful and how strong sisterhood, true, genuine sisterhood, and how women, when we pull together, we can just do so many extraordinary things. And so I wanted to, so that's where Yes Sisters come, is surrounding yourself with women who affirm, encourage, and challenge you. And these are I talk about many of the women. There's tons that spoke a yes to me. And I talk about them in the book. And I'm here today because of these women said, you know, yes, you can rebound, you can have what you want, you can live the life you desire. And that's where we are. Mhm.
Yeah, I have told people over the years that sometimes people have a false view of themselves.
Mhm.
Like if you ask someone, are you a negative person? Are you pessimistic? Do you like to rain on people's parades? Like no one says, yes, that's me.
Right.
Right? Very few people will say, oh, yeah, that's me. And so it's always important that people take an honest look at themselves. And so, can you share with us what's a yes sister and what's a no sister? In case people listening, they may think they're a yes sister, but maybe they aren't. And so, when you think about a no sister, what comes to mind? And when you think about a yes sister, what comes to mind?
Yes, sisters, that she's that woman in your circle that believes in you, and what I often say, she offers encouragement, insight, love. She tells you all those, but she also tells you the truth, Doreen. A lot of times we want to hear, what we want to hear, but sometimes that sister is that person telling you, girl, you need to do this, or you need to work on this area. But her words and presence stir your soul towards greatness. And that's what my view of a yes sister is.
Yes, I love that. Stirs your soul towards greatness, because sometimes women can, in their minds, tell the truth or keep it real, but the result of that is devastation to your soul. The result of that is a piece of you like dying, and for lack of a better word. And so it's not just the truth and keeping it real, it's also the motive that they are sharing that. It's the compassion and the empathy that comes with that, the desire to see you win versus the desire to cut you down.
Right.
Because the words can be the same.
That's right.
But it doesn't make you a yes sister, it can make you a no sister. And so I would say a no sister is someone whose motive really isn't to nurture the soul. I mean, I don't know, what would you say?
I agree. And someone that's, that's in competition, and, just all the ugliness that comes with, I wish I can say that, I've experienced, or we're going to experience all these amazing women, but the truth of the matter is we're not. It's just being real, and, but then you identify, you don't know people who are successful, or just however you define success, or I say, if you're confident within yourself, you don't feel that, you feel being with other women empower you. But some of us, we have some work to do. Even when I was working on this book, I was like, ouch, when I had to figure out, like, I'm not one that sits around and gossips, and, I don't like to talk about people and things like that. That's just my nature and my character. That's that characteristic about myself. But one of the things that I had to, that the book really helped me with, Doreen, is that, maybe I'm not that person, but what if I'm in a group of women and they are catty and they are talking, and I just sit there and I listen and don't say anything. And I said, well, I found myself, I said, you know what? I have to fix that, because that's not who I am. And that's not who I want to be. So.
Oh man, I love that. Because I think for many people, and you can even think about the social unrest, everything that's happening in the country today, but it goes beyond not doing it, right? It goes beyond not being a gossiper. It goes beyond not talking about people behind their back. It goes beyond being in competition. It's actually stepping up and saying something when you experience a woman who's doing those things. If you are at a social event, if you're out to dinner with people and you hear them doing this, it's not enough not to participate.
Right.
You have to take that extra step. And so how did you find that voice, that confidence to now move from not participating to now calling it out?
Well, I actually lost, and I, to this day, I don't know, I don't know all the details, but I feel as though I silenced, and there again, like you know, we talked about people who are silenced through all the social injustices, and I lost a good friend because of me not stepping up. And that was just like the wake up moment. And I lost, when I looked that pattern in the back, you know, and years, you know, prior. And I thought, I'm like, you know, I lost some good people for not speaking up and for not shutting things down that needed to be shut down. And I made that promise that from that moment, you know, after being hurt from losing, because even if breaking up with your girlfriend or your yes sister is just as bad as, you know, going through a divorce and breaking
Yes,
up with your boyfriend, you know,
yes,
it's horrible.
yes.
And I never wanted to experience that again. I said wanted to be genuine and just, you know, speak up. So.
Yeah, the loss of friendships, you're right, it's just as devastating. And even when you learn the lesson, it's just like a old boyfriend, you know, maybe he did you wrong, but he learned
Right,
his lesson. That doesn't mean you're going to take him back. And
right,
it's the same with friendships. You know, you lost these friendships, and you can look and see the role that you played in
exactly.
their lives. And now you've learned the lesson. And sometimes all you have is the lesson. The friendship cannot be restored.
And you
It
have to accept that. You just
have
have
to
to accept
accept
it.
it. Yeah, you have to accept it. And so building that community where you are speaking up, others are speaking up, and now the fostering of encouragement and collaboration is there. How can people form these communities even from their current group? And I say that because, you know, there are some groups and they ain't talking about nothing. I mean, you got your friends and you might not be gossiping, but there's no energy in there. There's no like purpose. There's no like, let's go out and do something big. And so if you're that person, how do you either create that community in the circle that you have, or how do you go out and find it?
Wow, that's a good question, because I often think about where I live. I live in a, you know, kind of small community, and people don't dream super big. I think I'm just a little kind of like crazy dreamer. And that was one of the, you know, challenges that I had. But sometimes it's just being that one example. And that's what I have transitioned to become, is sometimes you just need that one person to take the lead and say, hey, um, you know, or have you thought about, you know, vision boards, and, you know, have you thought about doing any coaching or finding a coach and mentoring and things like that. So I think it's important just to be able to first have the freedom, or be able to express yourself with your girlfriends or that those groups of women, and just kind of encourage them and show them the importance of being able to grow and to elevate.
Right, right. And if they are in a place, whether it's geographical, a small town, whether it's just, yeah, I'm in a big city, but I'm not connected, how can people begin this journey? I mean, you have your hope community. What is that? And, you know, your yes circles, your yes sisters. How can people connect if they really want to have these type of relationships, but just don't have them now?
You have to, I mean, with anything, Doreen, I think we have to work at it. You know, we can sit back, and for a long time I sit back and I watch people watch you. I'm stalking everybody. You know, but you know, it's something my mom still would often say, you know, like when I would reach out to different people, you know, in the magazine, it's like, well, how did you get that person and how did you connect with them? I just asked, you know. And I think that's the same way with connecting with, you know, or building a community of women. You just have to reach out to them and say, hey, you know, my name is Angie and I really like what you do. Maybe we can talk for about 15 minutes, you know, and not do the whole sales pitch thing, you know. Nah, that's just doesn't
Right,
work, you know.
right, because we're talking connection.
Right, right. And it's you don't want anything, but I just want to connect with you. How can I glean from you? And maybe it's not talking all the time, but just, I just need someone that I can speak to who's been where I'm trying to go.
Yeah, and I think that's so important for people to understand that the onus is on you. The
Mhm.
responsibility is on you. When people tell me I don't have any support, my spouse, my significant other, my boss, my job, they don't support me. And, how can I get them to support me? And my answer to them is always, why would you want to get them to support you? I mean, that could be an uphill battle. Why don't you just go and find people who want to support you, want to
Right.
be a part of what you're doing, want to encourage you? And that takes effort on your part.
Hmm.
It may even take people saying no, right? Like,
Exactly.
I'm reaching out. Is it possible that we can connect? No, I don't do that. No, I don't have time. No, that's not, but being committed to getting to a place where you are surrounded by people who encourage and mentor and cheer you on. So that's going to require something of you. And I think sometimes we forget that just like the mindset piece takes work, finding this community, finding this group of yes sisters, that may take some work too.
Absolutely.
And if they're not,
Because a lot
yeah,
when I started doing the magazine, my family had no clue. My mom, the people in the family had no clue what I was doing. And then we take offense because, oh, they didn't subscribe, oh, they didn't buy the book, oh, they don't know what magazine I'm doing. And that's okay. I had to find women and men, found some men that were passionate about some of the things that I was doing and could speak the language. So, yeah.
yes, I think you're just bringing up so many great nuggets. This idea, especially for the entrepreneurs and business owners out there that are upset because cousin JoJo and Aunt Betty and Uncle so and so, they didn't buy, they didn't spread the word. Or,
Right.
as you said, they didn't even know I was doing this. I
Right.
remember I was out with some really good friends and I made a comment about my podcast. And they're like, "You have a podcast?" But you know what? I was not offended because years ago, I decided that I was going to let my cousins be my cousins, my friends be my
That's
friends,
right.
my family be my family.
That's right.
And I was going to, inside of being an entrepreneur, go market and sell to people who were in my ideal client pool,
That's
right? So
wonderful.
release your family.
That's
Release
right.
your
That's
friends.
right.
That's a big lesson. It's a
That's a
big
huge
lesson.
lesson. That's once you as an entrepreneur, once you figure that out and you're okay with that, you don't care who likes your post. You don't care you do not care who shows up for your book launch. You do not care. You just know what you're there for. And you know what, and that's and those who want to support you, or and not to say that the others won't, but just be appreciative to those that did support you. And
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so, speaking of this entrepreneurial journey, we've been talking about the personal side of what you've built and how you have impact and what you've written and shared inside of your book. But as the entrepreneur, as the CEO, what would you say were some of the biggest lessons you've learned on that
oh, I've learned so many. The thing, I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is just okay. And I often say it to myself, it's just okay to be okay. It's not it's not this big, enormous race. It's okay to pace yourself. Um, you can always figure things out. It's okay to switch things up. You can have something going so amazing for a year and you may need a shift. That's okay. It's okay.
journey?
Not be so hard on yourself, and just set those goals, and even if you fall, if you do fail, get back up, learn from it. I think the main thing is just learning from anything and just moving forward. So
Yes. I love that, we want to put on ourselves this energy that sometimes is out in the world of hustle.
Yes.
Make it happen right now. You can do it. Like, get it done, get it done. You're so behind. Like, look at what so-and-so's doing. Look at how they built their bit. Like, and you're like, you can stress yourself out. You can get in overwhelm when the truth is every smart entrepreneur is playing the long game. Every smart entrepreneur is playing for sustainability, for profitability, for continued growth. And sometimes that requires a pivot, a shift, an adjustment. Sometimes it doesn't go as fast as someone else may go, but it's at the pace where you're going to be able to deliver the results that you want and you need in your business. I think that's a huge lesson, a huge lesson.
Yeah, it was.
It don't always start out that way.
No,
that happened. You learned that in the process.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was comparing myself. And when I finally understood, Doreen, I will never be Oprah magazine. I was never going to be Essence. I was never going to be Ebony and Red Book and all those. I had to be Hope and be okay with where I was in my process and not allow people to tell me, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. No, let me just work this. And for the reader that wants to read this publication. And I was okay with that.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, here at the Radical Success Institute, our mantra is that we help people define success for themselves and get the guts to go after it. So tell us, how do you define success?
Oh, success to me is being able to do what you love daily. And then you're passionate about it. And that's it for me. That's what I think success. It's not material things, but to be able to get up daily for 15 years through messiness and just ups and downs, but remain steadfast to love and to inspire women to hope for 15 years straight. That's success.
That's a win.
Yes, it is.
And yes, well, thank you so much, Angie. I so appreciate everything that you shared today. I hope our listeners, if you didn't have a pen and paper, that you listen to this again with some pen and paper, because some nuggets were definitely dropped during our conversation today. So tell everyone, how can they connect with you? How can they get in touch with you? How can they subscribe? Just let them know everything that you have available for them.
Well, you can go to the website, and on the website is hopeforwomenmag.com. And I think Amazon is out of the books, but you can check your local Target. Unfortunately, in my small town, our Target does not carry the book, or I will be taking selfies.
And where are you from, Angie? You talked a couple of bits about.
I'm from Muncie, Indiana, where most people know David Letterman or Ball State University. So I'm about an hour outside of Indianapolis. Okay. So that's why I'm feeling some kind of way that the book is not in Target. I've talked to the manager. I have talked to them on numerous occasions too.
Yes. Yeah.
So everything is on the website, hopeforwomenmag.com. We're excited. Our new website will launch in September, as with the relaunch of the print publication, and you'll be able to subscribe at that time. So we're excited about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Angie. I appreciate you taking time. I'm excited that you are a yes sister for me and so many other people. You inspire, you motivate, and of course, you always give hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thanks for listening to the Radical Success Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, stay radical.